Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Control Room Podcast NBA show. I got a familiar face back with me today, my guy Ramiro. Oh, come on. Come on, man. You put Romo on YouTube, he got theatrics and tricks and shit, man.
Games.
Oh my goodness.
We disposed of them Blazers.
Well, we got a lot to get into for today's show. Man, so much has happened in a week. I mean, you got the Lakers and the Clippers both advancing. We got 2 Game 7s in the Western Conference Finals coming up. You got Donovan Mitchell versus Jamal Murray. You got the Heat upsetting the Bucks. You got Boston beating the crap out of Toronto. But before we get into all that good stuff, we got to talk about the important stuff. Last week, we saw for the first time ever NBA players boycott a game. And that started with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Orlando Magics, and it trickled on down to the rest of the games of the day. And we had a mini shutdown. So, man, we haven't talked since. So I was just curious your thoughts on, the whole process and where we are today.
Yeah, from what I read about it, Milwaukee players had a meeting. Mainly George Hill, I think, was the main guy who started the whole idea of, hey, let's not play. And I mean, given that the Jacob Blake thing happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin, it made a lot of sense for Milwaukee to do something. And so I think it was pretty appropriate, given that the Jacob Blake incident happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So it made sense for the Milwaukee Bucks to, do something about it. And really, sports-wise, what can you do other than not play a game, all right, to make a statement? And, I think it was pretty impactful. Big scheme of things. Whoa. We're back. What's going on, man?
Sorry.
I don't know where this phone's tripping, man.
No, you're good.
Anyways,
we got you.
So, like I was saying, I think it was a pretty big moment for the NBA, and hopefully other leagues take note that if you want change, albeit symbolic, what have you, you have to do something extreme, even if it means not playing. I mean, there are some things bigger than basketball or bigger than sports. Mm-hmm. And this certainly is bigger than sports.
Yeah, I mean, it was a amazing symbolic gesture, but they also had some action. They met multiple times, and sometimes reports where it was a bit heated because they wanted to figure out exactly what direction they wanted to go in. And I think the main point was to put pressure on their owners to be more active in their support for this movement. And I know a few different owners, I think the owner in Houston and maybe even Milwaukee, have opened up their arena so people can go vote. And also some of their contacts with senators. And, when you have big business like that, if you want to build a new arena or whatever, they gotta talk to local government. And, they have those connections. So the players were trying to put the pressure on those owners to use some of those connections. And there was a report that came out that Michael Jordan was actually a liaison between the players and the owners. Obviously, he's, in my eyes and most people's eyes, the greatest player of all time. But he reached out to Chris Paul, who's one of the leaders of the Players Union, and also Russell Westbrook, because they're part of Team Jordan, and was just like, hey, what exactly do you guys want? And I'll relay that message to the owners. And he basically just told the owners, like, hey, now's the time to listen. And you guys need to listen to what the players want and be supportive. And that's how we really got basketball back and didn't blow up. But, yeah, man, I think baseball, I know a couple teams sat out as well. And I don't think hockey did anything, but can't quote me on that. But it was
I think all major sports actually took the NBA's lead, and I think they all canceled games that day, if I'm not
well, I know NFL canceled some practices. I do believe that there were some baseball games played, and I saw a report of an NHL hockey player a black guy came out saying he was disappointed with the lack of action from his league. But I don't really follow those sports too closely, but I can just speak on NBA and NFL really. And it was a historic day in sports and in the world just to see something like that happen. And
Absolutely.
hats off to the players for doing it.
Yeah, I think the NBA is obviously when it comes to social issues, I think they're really way ahead of the other leagues. So hopefully, these other leagues look at what Adam Silver is doing, and they kind of pattern themselves after what the NBA is doing, allowing guys to speak their mind and just let them express themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they're frustrated. They're in a bubble. They went to the bubble to raise awareness. They have the Black Lives Matter shirts. They have they're speaking about Breonna Taylor and all the atrocities that have happened. And then another one happened. So then they're kind of second guessing, like, why are we really here then if this is
Yeah.
still going on? But I think that, look, honestly, this has been happening for years. I saw a meme, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meme with a Jazzy Jeff. And he's in court with his hands up. And Uncle Phil is like, Jazz, you can put your hands down. He was like, no, there's a dude here with a gun. Before you know it, I'm going to have 6 warning shots in my back. And that was 30 years ago. So change isn't going to happen overnight. But it's good that people are taking action. So, maybe 30 years from now, it won't be relevant.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, it's hard to say that, these developments will have impact. But even though the NBA is putting money, and it's not just symbolic. Right. They're also investing in communities. So it's not just a symbolic thing. I think the NBA is actually taking action and actually getting things done. So
yes,
it's a good thing.
Absolutely. But all right, man, let's get into actual basketball. Let's get into what's going on, man. So I kind of with your whole attire and your whole setup today, you're Mr. LA. I think you're missing at least one team. There's no Clipper gear. I don't see any. You got the Dodgers hat on. You got the Lakers stuff on. There's no Clipper.
The real.
Maybe that's an oversight. But go ahead, man. Go off about your Lakers, man.
I mean, look. I hate to say it, but I told you so.
Okay.
I said it would be a gentleman's sweep.
It doesn't sound like you hate to say it, but I'm just going to let you
go. Okay, I love to say it, but I told you so. Look, I told you all along, Dame would get one game. Dame's going to get you one. But other than that, I told you they're not gonna win more than one game against us. And that's exactly what happened. They won the first one in a Iverson-like fashion, when Philly beat the Lakers in the finals that first game.
Game dancing.
And the famous step over Ty Lue, and people were, were, oh my God, are the Sixers gonna do? Is Philly gonna pull this off?
I was celebrating. Yes.
I was never celebrating. I like the shirt, by the way, man.
Yeah.
Woodbury. Hey, shout out to my buddy Joe, who sells those shirts.
We ain't forgot about you. It just took us a minute before we actually got on YouTube. So yeah, we definitely gonna give our supporters a shout out when we get.
We love our sponsors.
But listen, man. Listen, I told you I want to change my basketball karma, and you notice since our last show, Clippers haven't lost. But look, man, you guys beat the Blazers in 5. I don't know if that was technically the Portland Trail Blazers, though. I mean, Dame Lillard didn't play in the elimination game, and C.J. McCollum had a bad back, and Zach Collins didn't play because it was an ankle, and, Rodney Hood tore his Achilles. Trevor Ariza didn't actually come to the bubble.
But hey, the great Carmelo was playing.
And Melo, listen, hey, thank you. Let me talk about my boy Carmelo Anthony. Between the legs, pull up. Oh, is this AD? You can come get some. Oh, what's up, Braun? Between the legs, pull up in your mouth too. 27 for the great Carmelo Anthony, a guy who's washed, a guy who my foster
brother what?
To be in China hooping. Come on now.
You know what, Mike? Yeah. I got to give you credit.
Please.
I got to give you credit because you're the only guy that thought Carmelo still had something in him to play a little more in the NBA. Because most people thought he was done.
Well, that's why there's that meme going around of the Carmelo Anthony apology form where it was like the media told me he was done, analytics said he was washed, blah, blah, blah. But I never actually watched the games. I just went off of what I heard on TV. When you watch basketball, it's very clear to see who has skill, who has IQ, and who doesn't. And Carmelo, I think, is 36 years old. So he's not out there because of his athleticism. He's out there because he's highly skilled. And in the clutch, he's not afraid. So you tell me the Lakers couldn't use some of that action right now? There's a lot. Houston Rockets, who got rid of him, who's in a game 7 right now with OKC, they also traded away Chris Paul from that team. And Chris Paul is leading OKC, and a bunch of old Clippers, Gallinari, SGA, and a ragtag crew. They're in the game 7. So that's what I mean. We can just jump into that right now. What do you think about that series, man? OKC's not supposed to be here. They had a 0.02% chance of making the playoffs in the preseason, and they one game away from going to the semis.
Look, Chris Paul is a great point guard. So when he's in control of a team, he can make things happen. He damn near took the Clippers, to what, second round, third round.
No, we were one game away from going to the Western Conference. Yeah.
So I mean, Chris Paul is very underrated. He is your prototypical point guard. He pretty much does what you need a point guard to do, distribute and get his teammates involved. I don't know why Chris Paul, has gotten a bad rap for whatever reason. But he's a great player and he knows how to play the game. And they might pull the upset at this point. The momentum has shifted. So
yeah,
I think Houston's in trouble.
I mean,
we have a problem.
I would love to see Houston, LA, just to see that the contrast in styles would be amazing to see. It's a small ball versus probably the biggest team in the league. But man, it's hard to root for Houston. Like I say, when they ship away my guy Melo and try to end his career, then they ship Chris Paul away to basically basketball Siberia. Nobody saw Oklahoma City doing anything this year. They got 2 MVPs on their team. They got the great Mike D'Antoni, and they about
You know how I feel about Dumb Tony.
Hey, trust me, I ain't got no love for that man either after the way he treated Melo. So listen, like box office wise, I want to see LA Houston. Okay. But man, would it be some beautiful karma if Chris Paul knocks off Houston in the first round? And I got to say, Chris Paul gets a bad rep because he always gets hurt. That's me as a Clipper fan. He's always getting hurt at the wrong time in the playoffs. Hopefully this year is different. But he's a bulldog, man. He's a leader. He's not going to let your team quit. He's going to raise everybody's game. And just to transition to another game, a guy who's just like that, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is one of those
getting buckets.
Nails, like I will fight you on this court type of dude. I don't care if I'm.
They don't call him Jimmy Buckets for nothing, Mike.
Hey, ask Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins how Jimmy Butler gets down. Okay, because man, he saw the Greek Freak and he was like, I don't care. Here's 40 for you, and we're gonna beat you game 1. And this is where the home court advantage. Woo! It sucks, man, because the Bucks just gotta beat them straight up, and Miami got the better of them. So man, what did you think about that game?
Yeah, look, I'm not surprised. Jimmy Butler has been a great scorer everywhere he's been. I think he finally found the right fit. He even said himself that Miami was a perfect destination for him. His teammates seem to like him. They have a good young core. Yeah. Some of these guys, the rookies like Duncan Robinson. Was it Tyler Hero?
Yeah, and they got a big man. They got, I don't know if he's a rookie, but Bam, he's a young
shooter.
Kid. They got Andre Iguodala over there. They got a crew, man. They got the Dragon.
Spoelstra's coach, many championship teams.
Yes.
So he has the experience. You know what? I mean, Miami is a dark horse.
Hey man, you gotta wake up and take him seriously now. And I'm happy for Spo because like a lot of LeBron coaches, they don't get any love because, hey, you coach LeBron James, you coach Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen. Like, of course you're going to win. But people are like, LeBron never had a great coach. You're going to look 10 years from now, Coach Spo is going to be a great coach. Remember, he's handpicked by your boy, Pat Riley, that he's been a long time. So you know Spo is a real coach. And honestly, no one saw this coming from Miami either. Because they don't have any other all-stars. Jimmy Butler is nice, but he's not a top 10 player in the league right now. But I will say this, Kawhi Leonard did reach out to Jimmy Butler before he reached out to Paul George. Now, you can say he reached out to Jimmy Butler first because he's a free agent, and Paul George was still under contract with OKC. But Kawhi wanted to play with KD. He wanted to play with Jimmy, and then they had to orchestrate the thing for Paul George. I personally would love to have Jimmy Butler on my team. Paul George, playoff P is back, kind of, so we're cool now. But just much respect to Jimmy Butler and what Miami's doing. I really don't know who to root for in this one. I like both teams. But you know what? Maybe Clipper-wise, maybe I should root for Miami. Let's get Greek Freak out the way.
Now, you're assuming the Clippers are going to make the finals?
I mean, that is my prediction.
Mike, first of all, let's talk about the Western Conference Finals first. So who do you, if you had your choice, okay, what opponent would you rather see, Utah or Denver?
Yeah, for the next round in the semis, I would prefer to play Denver, and that may sound crazy because Jamal Murray is playing out of his mind. They were trying to compare his game the other day on ESPN to somebody, and I think the best comp so far is Gilbert Arenas, a bigger guard who can score from anywhere. When he gets hot, he really gets hot. But I think we have the defenders to slow him down. I think we won 3 out of the 4 matchups against Denver in the regular season, which doesn't really matter. But I think we match up better with them. Donovan Mitchell is way too explosive. That's young D Wade stuff. He's too quick and too strong. Like Kawhi is strong enough, but I don't think he can move his feet quick enough. And Paul George, I don't want to put that type of pressure on him. Let's make sure his mental state stays secure. Okay, so I would prefer to go against Denver, but man, that's been a hell of a series to watch.
Either way, you're going to have a tough matchup on your hands because you're going to try to stop Jamal Murray, or you're going to have to stop Donovan Mitchell, who are on fire right now.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to watch that game. That game's tonight, actually. That's going to be an awesome game. I pose the same question to you. Houston or OKC, who would you rather see?
This might sound crazy to people, but I actually prefer Houston.
Okay.
Because of how small they are, and I don't think they're going to be able to match up with our bigs. As you know, Dumb Tony came up with this brilliant idea of is he starting like PJ Tucker at the center position, I think?
Pretty much.
Yeah, they have PJ Tucker, PJ Tucker's like 6'5", man.
Yeah.
So how's he going to handle, the likes of AD and McGee and Dwight Howard? We'll have a field day against Houston. I'm actually more afraid of OKC.
They did beat you guys a couple of times during the regular season. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, but I would prefer. I would prefer Houston and OKC. Steven Adams. That's a big dude.
Yeah.
And he's physical, and so if I have my pick, I would want to face the Rockets. But it doesn't matter. We'll win regardless.
Gotta love that Laker confidence. You know what? That doesn't sound crazy. That makes a lot of sense. For me, I don't know if OKC has enough scoring to keep up with you guys. Because if Chris Paul is your closing guard, I mean, granted, you guys don't have any perimeter defense, so he may eat y'all alive, actually. With Gilgeous-Alexander and Schroeder, like that 3-guard rotation might give you problems, actually. But look, box office wise, you got 2 MVPs on one side. You got Brian AD on the other side. You got James Harden doing his thing. You
got Russell Westbrook just giving out turnovers left and right.
Hey, yeah, they combined for just 12 turnovers last night, 7 from Russ and 5 from Harden. But Clippers definitely have the tougher road, but that's just going to make the championship so much sweeter.
Keep dreaming, man. Keep dreaming.
Keep dreaming. All right, man. So then, we haven't talked about Boston and Toronto, man.
Boston.
What the hell? What happened in that game?
Look, I'm not surprised. I've been saying all along that Boston's the best team in the East. Even though Toronto, even without Kawhi, they had a great season. But when it comes to the playoffs, it's a different animal, and you got to have that go-to guy. And I don't know if Kyle Lowry is the guy to step in Kawhi's big shoes.
What's my man? I forget his name every time. Drake lookalike.
Fred, the great Fred VanVleet.
VanVleet.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good.
They got Siakam.
Right.
They got Siakam, Ibaka, Marcus Gasol.
Siakam.
It's definitely more of a group effort with them. It's definitely by committee. There's not just one. There's no head of the snake. And Boston, man, they got some young studs with Tatum and Brown and Kemba Walker.
Yeah, squad.
Kemba Walker and Smart.
Is Gordon Hayward healthy, or is he?
No, he hasn't even suited up yet. He's still dealing with.
No, they have enough weapons as it is.
Yeah, man. So I think Toronto may revert back to old Toronto, getting bounced out of the playoffs real quick and not putting up much of a fight. Game 2 is going to say a lot because it was either one game where Toronto just went from playing Brooklyn to Boston and being like, oh shit. Or it's going to be like, this is just a terrible matchup for them, and they're about to get ran up out of there.
Yeah, I'm forecasting Boston, LA, Lakers. That is in the final. Okay. The classic rivalry, man. And it doesn't get any better. Celtics, Lakers, just like the old days.
I see a new rivalry. Actually, listen. Before we go, we gotta talk about your boy, Luka and Dallas. There's no love lost between them and my Clippers, man. We got into it quite a bit, but we had to go grown man on Luka and be like, nah, you about to fill us.
No, you had to play dirty.
Nah, bro.
You had to play dirty.
Dirty. Come on, Romo. You grew up in the 80s and the 90s. We slapped the side of his ear, man. He fell on the ground. He started huffing and puffing. Like
you can't do that. You can't do that to the golden boy of the NBA. You can't do that.
Clearly, and he got kicked out. He got kicked out for that. But honestly, I like Luka. He's Team Jordan. But man, I really didn't like him this series because he was giving my Clippers fits. But Kawhi Leonard down the stretch was like, all right, man, it's time for you to go home. Mid-range jumper. Oh, yeah, the mid-range game is dead. That's a bad shot, except for when Kawhi Leonard shoots it, right? Mid-range jumper. I'm locking Luka up on the other end. Bye-bye.
Look, Kawhi's been impressive. But the biggest question is, how is Paul George going to perform? I mean, he's not very consistent from game to game. That's the problem I have with the Clippers is there's no consistency there. So can you rely on PG to kind of get you guys over the hump, or is Kawhi going to have to carry this team?
Well, that is the probably $100 million question because that's probably around whatever Paul George's salary is. Listen, if you've been watching basketball, this is Paul George. He can be the best. He could literally be the best player in the entire NBA one night, and he could be a guy who doesn't look like he belongs on your team another night. And
yeah, right now he doesn't seem like he's present. Like he's not. His head's not in the game. I don't know what's going on, but that's going to be a problem.
I know you're hoping that's a problem. That's what you're rooting for.
No, it's be a problem.
It looks like he has a good support system. And listen, if he's having an off night, there's a guy named Lou Will who could drop 30. Okay, we got a guy named Montrezl.
We just got to keep Lou Will away from the
Magic City is far away, bro. I'm sure he's getting the lemon pepper wings sent to him. And that's the way to do it. Okay, that's the way to do it. All right. Maybe he's having Zoom calls at Magic City. Maybe that's how he's getting his fix. And my hat's off to him. But basically, the Clippers are deep enough to weather some of Paul George's peaks and valleys. And I think at the end of the day, we'll be the team left standing. But we got a long, long way to go.
Look, we shall see. That's why they play the games, and we'll see how it plays out. But I like my Lakers' chances to reach the finals, and my prediction all along has been Boston, LA. So we'll see if I'm correct again. I'm usually right.
Yeah, yeah. Before we go, gotta say, give our condolences to the families for Lou Olson, who passed away recently. John Thompson, legendary.
Great Georgetown coach.
And I just did a pod recently on the passing of the great Chadwick Boseman. So when it comes to coaching standpoint, those guys are Mount Rushmore, gold standard. I had just found out watching ESPN today, Richard Jefferson was talking about Lou Olson. And, it's in Arizona, one of the last states to celebrate MLK Day. He said back in the 90s, they were having MLK on their jackets. And Lou Olson was an advocate, for equality for everyone all the way back then. And that's something I didn't know about. And now it's really awesome to see him. John Thompson, I would credit him for saving his life.
So, yeah, we've lost a lot of great people this year, man. 2020's been rough.
And a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just sports," and what does it really mean in the greater scheme of things? Those are two perfect examples of how important sports are in society.
Yeah,
and Chadwick
Boseman always catapulted, social change. Going back to Jackie Robinson,
exactly. Muhammad Jackie Robinson, or back then it was probably Brooklyn, but whatever. And then the great Chadwick Boseman, his impact is international. But, remember when Black Panther was at its peak and you had NBA players doing the, Wakanda Forever. You had Oladipo with the mask on, doing this to Chad when he was courtside. Man, there's beautiful pictures. I think Chad even did something about Kobe where he reenacts Kobe jumping on the scorer's table and celebrating after.
Really? I got to see that.
I'll send that to you.
Okay. I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, man. So I don't know if you got anything to add about those three gentlemen, but I just want to give some time for that.
Man, I wish we could have a mulligan like in golf. You just start over. I wish we could just start 2020 all over and still have Kobe and Chadwick Boseman and all these great people that we've lost, man. It's been a rough year, to say the least. But that's life.
Yeah, 2020 is going down in the history books for a lot of bad. I gotta say thanks for joining me again. Control Room Podcast NBA show, just getting the channel up and running. So if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, do all that good stuff. You still can find it in audio format, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you stream your podcast, you can find us at the Control Room Podcast. Also on IG. Romo, where can they find you on IG?
They can find me at Ramiro Romo Jr.
Okay.
JR.
All right, when Romo starts tripping about fantasy football, he's going to need y'all help. But, yeah, I'm at Michael D. Walker.
Draft is coming next week.
Michael D. Walker 3, Instagram and Twitter. Hey, till next time, talk to you guys later.
All right.
Peace.